Well, hello, and welcome back to yet another painting video. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating a short and sweet guide on how I paint faces on my miniatures, with the focus mainly on how I paint skin. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm using an old model that was sitting in my resin graveyard of failed 3D prints. This poor guy was the result of my beginner's lack of knowledge with support and printer settings back when I first started 3D printing. So let's bring him some well-earned justice today, shall we? Before we begin, I'm going to start building my color scheme on my wet palette. No matter what color of skin you're doing, even if it's an unnatural color like blue or green, you'll want to start with a set of 3 paints: your darkest dark, a medium color, and a bright highlight. In this instance, I'm going for a tannish brown skin tone. I chose Dryad Bark as my dark, Mournfang Brown as my medium, and Kislev Flesh as my highlight. I'm going to start by adding a dab of each color onto my wet palette, ensuring I leave enough room in between for mixing. Starting off with my dark and my medium color, I'm pulling a little from each to create a color that is in between the two. I'm going to clean off my brush and do the same for the medium and light color. You should end up with a gradient like I have here. With those colors all mixed, we are ready to start painting. I'm going in with Dryad Bark first and using that as a base for the entire face. We will be covering most of this layer up further on, except for the deepest recesses of the face, like forehead wrinkles, around the eyelids, and under the nose. I will do the same thing with a dark wash all over the face just to ensure we get into all the crevices. With that dry, we are ready to go in with our mixed paint of Dryad Bark and Mournfang Brown. I'm going to start painting over the majority of the face, but being careful not to touch the recessed areas mentioned before. It may be hard to see on camera since the color isn't much lighter than the base, but this is actually perfect. This will ensure we have a nice gradient by the end of it. With Mournfang Brown, we are going to do the same thing and focus on the center of the face, covering the areas we did in the previous step, but centering our brushstrokes closer to the middle of the face. We almost want to leave a border of color between each layer, which will end up looking like a smooth gradient by the time we're done. Going in with our mixed color of Mournfang Brown and Kislev Flesh, now we can start building the basis for the highlights. We want to focus this color on any high points of the face, like cheekbones, chin, forehead, and tip of the nose. We can be liberal with the amount we use on this step, however we will still have to be wary not to get into any of the recessed areas on the face. Now just look at the difference this layer makes on one side of the face versus the other. Now taking our highlight color of Kislev Flesh, we will go over the high points of the face again. You may smooth out the consistency of your highlight with a touch of water in case the color difference is too stark. At this stage, I was loving how the layers turned out. However, the colors I used seemed to be almost too neutral. I wanted to add some life back to the skin by adding a touch of deep red and pink to give the illusion of flushed cheeks and a more warm tone palette. To avoid ruining the work I did on all of the layers, I watered these colors down immensely and was light in applying it to the areas I wanted more warm. Now on to the bane of existence for all miniature painters, the eyes. I always like to start off with a dark gray and cover the eye area with it to make a solid base, making sure I am extra careful not to slip and paint on the lower or upper eyelids. Then I'm going in with a light cream color over top to act as the whites of the eyes. Now don't be discouraged if you don't get it right the first time. It took me many years of practice to feel confident with painting such a small area. For the pupil, I'm going to show you a secret that will make your life 100 times easier. Instead of using your tiniest brush and trying to paint a perfect circle the size of a molecule, I'm going to use 2 micron pens, a blue one size 01 and a black one size 005. Starting off with the blue, I'll be dabbing the pen onto the eyes to make the iris. Then, with the smaller black pen, I will dab in the middle of the blue to make the pupil. And our face is complete. Now to frame it nicely, I'm going to quickly do the hair and beard off camera, and then we are ready for the final reveal. And here he is! We have skin texture, we have wrinkles, and now that I'm looking at him, he really looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I hope you enjoyed following along on this tutorial, and hopefully you picked up some tricks you can use for your own hobby painting journey. Until next time, traveler!